So the gaming industry these days has companies that just don't care and they're just for a quick buck. And it's quite obvious this. EA is probably the main one that people will say is the trashiest company that ever existed. I think at one point it actually was rated one of the worst companies in America, I think. This was when Battlefront 2 came out. I remember the absolute stupidity they did with that game and the absolute mayhem they caused with that game. And to be honest with you, it definitely didn't help them in any situation. Now, obviously, Ubisoft is probably going to be somewhere on your list as well. Now, Ubisoft started off making absolute incredible games. Ubisoft are essentially the spam of the gaming industry. Even though that spam is good spam, well, used to be good spam, now it's just useless spam that clearly is trying to make a quick buck. And it's very obvious why they're trying to do it. I guess they're trying to please their investors so much. I think it's owned, half of it's owned by Tencent as well, which is a huge Chinese brand, I think. They are a big technology brand and they're investors in multiple things. They're quite known for fucking stuff up. A lot of people actually don't really like them, but they have got the budget, so I guess that's why a lot of people try to sell their company or half of it or a certain percentage off to them to try and make money then, I guess. I don't know. However, Ubisoft, they've gone downhill quite a lot. I don't know why. I do know why. The games are shit. The game quality, just their lack of care anymore in the gaming industry has shown. Now, I think the same people still own it, that they still owned years ago. I actually don't know what's stopping them or causing them. Are they just getting bored now, or are they just realising, we're not really in the main gaming industry as we such was in the Xbox 360 and the PS3 era. You know, we've kind of lost that era behind, and now we are in the era of people not really caring. And they're not exactly wrong to a certain extent. The gaming industry has definitely changed over the years. I don't know if I'd say it's gotten worse. Maybe with game developers on the game developer side, but I think it's gotten a lot more people coming in, but obviously it won't be as good, in my opinion, as the Xbox 360 and the PS3 era, because I feel like that's the peak of gaming. That is when developers really tried to push and innovate their games to next level. That is when I feel like developers were like, holy shit. They realized their games had fucking potential and they said, holy fucking shit. Right now, we need to work so much on this game and push it out. Ubisoft, in that era of gaming, that era of consoles, they absolutely slammed games out. They threw games out like crazy, and they were bangers. We had Splinter Cell. We haven't seen that game, I think, for 11 years. I think the last game was 2013 or something like that. We haven't seen it since. That franchise, I don't know what they're doing with it. And in fact, they're probably going to turn it into some open world bullshit like this. Now, I like Splinter Cell. I absolutely do. They're going to turn it into some stupid shit anyway, if they end up bringing it back. That's if. People have been asking for years and years, where the fuck is Splinter Cell? We haven't really got much on that. You know? Ubisoft have now, obviously, they released Star Wars, Star Wars Outlaws or something, is it called? It's an open world garbage game. The mechanics in it, it's just a Ubisoft title. It's Ghost Recon, probably worse than Ghost Recon, to be honest. That's quite a decent game. And it's just shit. It's just shit. I'm going to give credit. EA actually made Star Wars Battlefront. Obviously, they're not the same game exactly. But while I hate EA for what they are, I think they're stupid and they just get way too carried away with cash. and they see money symbols, and they're like, yes, let's make this game, let's develop this game like it is, boom, boom, we don't care, fuck the consumers, this. I do feel like that we still have their sense, they still make good games. Okay, yes, Battlefield 2042 was a shot. Absolute ass. They did fix it, though. It's a lot better now. Obviously, not excusing that they fucked it up, of course. But I feel like with Ubisoft, they've got potential. And obviously, there's a video on YouTube. I think it's like Crowcat or something like that, called Ubisoft Downgrades. Now, this video goes on about and talks about Ubisoft downgrades. How Ubisoft has downgraded games over the years. So, say like it's an E3 trailer, or something like that. They downgrade it. It looks worse when the game actually launched. Now, I understand trailers and stuff like this and E3 and stuff. They're probably going to end up making the game look more appealing because, well, it's kind of pretty much like a scam almost. They're scamming you into thinking, oh, this is what the game looks like, and then you buy the game and it looks like shit. Rainbow Six Siege is probably a big one for this. It looked completely different. If you look from E3 footage, if you find E3 footage from... now, obviously, the game's going to look different now, but even back then, the game looked very different. Hostages were different, stuff like that. And it's something that I really think that Ubisoft kind of lagged behind. And I genuinely think the AI in Ubisoft games, just everything in Ubisoft games have fallen far behind. Now, it has come out that Ubisoft are apparently trying to do something, which, to be honest with you, I'm not surprised, and I think it may be the best for them. I'm not entirely sure, but it's, again, not that surprising at all, and it tells me something... the future of this company. Tencent and Ubisoft's founding Guillemot family are considering acquiring all shares of Ubisoft and taking the company private after Ubisoft shares have fallen 54% this year. No, Ubisoft owns cloud gaming streaming services for Amazon, Activision, Blizzard. Yes, their stock price has completely crumbled. Now, I know a lot of people don't really care about the stock price. That's yada, yada, yada. But the stock price for this has completely crumbled. About a month ago, they were trading about $15. Now, they are actually trading a lot better now. They're trading at the close anyway on the stock market. $14, 14 euros, sorry. They fell down to 8 euros in September, the 26th of September. So it's quite obvious. About a year ago, they were trading at 30. So it's kind of telling me, oh shit, they're not doing well. Ubisoft are doing pretty shit, and it's kind of scary. If you're someone who is... just getting into the gaming industry, or you're just getting into playing games, and, Ubisoft, I'd be scared if I worked at Ubisoft now. This is kind of annoying and sad. And to be honest with you, it's not something you want to see. Now, Ubisoft, again, I hope this doesn't affect gamers so much, although I don't think they really care, to be honest with you, because Ubisoft, I think they've changed it, though. I'm not too sure. But Ubisoft, as many of you know, own the franchise The Crew, which is actually a really good game. I don't have anything really against it. However, if you haven't already known about that controversy, the controversy with that is it's pretty much it's an online-only game, so you can only play it online while you're connected to an internet. You have to be connected to their servers. Even if you're not really playing online. Now, these type of games kind of frustrate me, purely because, I don't actually know what they're trying to... Is it to try and prevent piracy or something like this? I don't exactly know what they're trying to prevent by having it always online, or is it just they're too lazy to implement an offline game mode? I actually don't know. However, the crew won. Or is it just the crew? The crew won, whatever you want to call it. It was taken offline a few months ago, I think now, and rendering the game pretty much useless. Which, in my opinion, is kind of stupid. I think by law, I don't know if this would be an incredible thing to put in by law, but by law, even after a game's taken down, you should still be allowed to play that game. You know, unless the majority, like, say if it's like Battlefield, we all know the majority of Battlefield is online. That's not something I'm going to slam. That's just how the game's built, okay? That's genuinely how it's built. There's rarely that it's going to be an offline game mode, obviously, unless you play the story or the campaign. That's fair enough, and I'm not mad about that. To be honest with you, I'm not mad about it. It's whatever. Okay, fair enough. Call of Duty the same, but Crew really. You know, why not just making an off? I mean, you're kind of supporting piracy there. To be honest with you. You're not helping yourself. And again, Ubisoft, they've always been complaining about the games, like I said. One of the main one probably being Far Cry. Now, a lot of people can... Now, while I personally... I have liked Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5 did get a lot of hate as well. Far Cry 4 and Far Cry... Well, pretty much the last 3 main Far Cry titles... have kind of followed the footsteps of Far Cry 3. It's kind of like Ubisoft attaches... Now, again, bearing in mind, I'm not saying the core game is still pretty good, in my opinion. And maybe I'm dick riding Ubisoft a little bit too much here. But I do like Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5 is different. Yes, it does have outposts, and I do think the core of having outposts is a little bit too much. Like, we get it. You know, have a few outposts, don't get me wrong, but have the outpost interesting and stuff like that. You can do stealth. Don't get me wrong, I like how they do it. I just think it's, you know, kind of innovate. You can still keep that same thing in there, minimize the number, and then innovate on other stuff to actually, you know, make the player want to go around, you know? Because having just, I've got to clear out this outpost and stuff like that, it's boring after a while. Even though I genuinely love, I'm not a big fan of Far Cry 4 as much. I love Far Cry 5, and it's not just for the gameplay, it's for the scenery as well. I don't know what it is about that game, but I do adore it. Far Cry 3 as well is a brilliant game. In fact, some people go as far as saying it's an absolute masterpiece in gaming industry. The character is Vass, well known in the Better Call Saul universe as well. And he's a great actor, and he played that part absolutely magnificently. And Ubisoft have realised that game's been incredible to them. The Assassin's Creed franchise, absolute phenomenal it used to be. It used to be another franchise from Ubisoft that people absolutely adored. Ubisoft were known as the holy shit type in the gaming industry. They were known as the holy shit developers because they blew people away with incredible games. Bearing in mind, I'm talking about the Xbox 360 and the PS3 generation of Ubisoft games, not the Xbox One and PS4 generation of games. Maybe a slight few, maybe like at the beginning of the cycle. But I feel like Ubisoft have just fallen behind. They don't really care anymore. Their servers are weaker than fucking anything I've seen before. I don't know what do they really care anymore? Do they actually care about the player base? Probably not. And to be honest with you, I'm not really bothered about that anymore because they don't have passion. If their only passion is to re-release the same bullshit, just skin it differently or downgrade games, show something. Now, again, I know something. Oh, of course. Hold up. I know that a E3 trailer is going to be a little bit different from it. However, holy shit, you look at an E3 trailer of fucking of Rainbow Six, and then you look at some gameplay and not far off that, actual gameplay, and you're like, what the fuck? What did they do to you? Now, I know I'd be here all day complaining about Rainbow Six Siege and the problems with that game and the problems that people just don't like about it. And I'm not going to complain about that. I don't play it a hell of a lot anymore. I used to play quite a fair bit, and I'm not saying it's not a fun game. I think it's a little bit maybe on the too much of the competitive side. Maybe that might be a bit of a complaint there. I'm not too sure. But I do think it's got a lot more competitive over the years than it used to do. And again, not really a complaint. So was Call of Duty, to be honest. Although, actually, no, Call of Duty has always kind of had that competitive side to it. So this is from Eurogamer. Ubisoft and Tencent are considering buyout, taking the company private. According to the new report from Bloomberg, which has noted the video game developer has lost more than half of its market value over the year. I'm pretty sure they've lost a shit ton of money on the what's it called? Skull of Bones. Apparently they've lost like 200 million on that. And it kind of made sense why they lost 200 million, because they were selling Ubisoft for some reason anyway. About a year, not even a year after the games come out, they half that shit. They put that it's just on a Steam sale or whatever. Bearing in mind, a lot of these developers, I find so annoying, they don't put their shit on Steam. Now, I understand it's because they're trying to get past that 30%, I think it's 30%, that Steam take. And again, it's not a really new thing. EA does the exact same thing. Activision does the exact same thing as well. They did that for 3 years. 3 years with the Call of Duty franchise. And then decided, oh shit, let's just put this on Steam and stop being babies and give people the multiple options of which launcher they actually want to download it on. And Ubisoft does the exact same thing. They'll release it first on Ubisoft. Is it Ubisoft Connect now? Now, I don't want to get into these softwares too much. Fuck it, why not? It's pretty much like a third-party launcher. It's Steam, but an awful, and I mean awful launcher. I don't want to get into EA's launcher much because anything I'm saying about the Ubisoft launcher kind of goes into any other launcher by a big company, which is not surprising at all because I don't know who they get to develop these launchers, but they must be like, yeah, do this, sabotage these motherfuckers. I want them all sabotaged. I want everyone pissed off. However, the Ubisoft Connect app is pretty much it's shit. That's my better thing to explain about it. It's absolutely horrendous. There's problems with identifying game files. There are problems with launching games. I remember what used to be Uplay, and that used to be absolutely terrible. People used to complain about that all the time and say that it was the worst thing they've ever used. But in all honestness, I'd be here all day about complaining about the Ubisoft Connect app. All you need to know is it's pretty much it only exists so Ubisoft can keep their 30% from Steam. Although these developers are kind of, should I say, assholes, they're forced. Like, oh shit, no one's actually buying our games on these launchers because they're absolutely ass games, ass launchers. Add them both together and it's fucking shit. I don't understand why Ubisoft continues to do this. Release the shit on Steam. That 30% surely isn't going to affect you that much, right? Bearing in mind, you're making fucking millions. You're making millions. I'm obviously, for the smaller indie developers, this might affect them in more ways than ever. Now, do I think Steam are fair to charge that? Yeah. It keeps them operating. I think it's quite a fair thing. They could charge you a monthly thing, but I think it's quite a fair price. Again, your game's probably going to get more recognition on Steam because of its well-known presence. and its loyalty towards its fans and customers. Quite a loyal company, Steam is. They have great refund policies. Maybe that's also why Ubisoft and other game developers don't really like them. It's because the fact they can just refund when they fucking want to. Maybe that's another one. I don't know. However, Ubisoft, does this mean the end for Ubisoft? I don't actually know. Are the family going to sell it off? I don't know. It would be cool, I guess, for them to sell it off to someone who knows. Maybe Microsoft sees this deal. Maybe Sony sees this deal. Heck, this would be a great opportunity for Sony to buy Ubisoft, in my opinion. Absolute great opportunity to buy it. The world of buyout follows an open letter from an Ubisoft investor to the company last month, which expressed their deep dissatisfaction with its performance and strategic direction. The investor urged the board to consider taking the company private, describing Ubisoft as a great company that is deeply undervalued. Oh, God. Due to its mismanagement. Okay, maybe he's right. It definitely is valuable. It's mismanagement. You know what? This investor might actually have some sense. Due to his mismanagement from the guild. In 2022, it was revealed that Tencent had a 49% stake in the Guillemot Bros. Separately, at the end of the April, Tencent owned 9.2% of Ubisoft net voting rights. Okay, that's quite a lot. But yeah, again, I if they do end up selling this off, if this is what they're trying to do as well, I'm not too sure. I think Ubisoft need to start taking things. I'm not saying they could fail. You know, Ubisoft are failing because of their own problems as well. And it's, again, people are absolutely, like, if you take a quick look at Rainbow Six Siege and the Steam charts and stuff, how people are playing that, people are loving it. People are absolutely loving Ubisoft old games like Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Siege is probably a fan favourite. Yes, it still has that problems and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's kind of liked, you know, by people, and people just love how it is. It's got quite a lot of people on Rainbow Six Siege. There are actually 47,000 people, and in the last 24 hours, 61,000 people have played Rainbow Six Siege. So it's no surprise Ubisoft are doing very well with some of their games. That's not a surprise, not a shocker at all. Ubisoft are doing pretty well. So why on earth do they keep failing? Is it because of innovation? Is it because of greed? Is it because their management is absolutely shit and they don't have a clue what they're doing and they're just hiring people who are business minds instead of actually having an idea of how the gaming market and what gamers actually want? I don't know, unfortunately. However, I do know this. Ubisoft really need to start getting a lot more into the brains of gamers and start realizing they've got potential, but unfortunately, they don't want to give that potential. And, well, this might be their downfall if they don't listen